Wednesday, November 1st, 2023, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Why did I emphasize that? Well, one of you asked in the comment section, what's that word? I can't understand you. So I made it clear it's contrarian views. So what we're going to look at today, well, we're going to look at the fact that Western central banks and their agent bullion banks are gifting the global south or the east, whatever you want to call it, with cheap gold, and why you need to take advantage of it as well. That's just my opinion. I'm taking advantage of it as well, especially with silver too. And before we look into that, just wanted to let you know that the Dirty Men Safe, which has been quite popular with the viewers, they're now shipping to the UK and Canada. So yes, if you're interested in safeguarding your valuable possessions in these turbulent, uncertain times, and not just turbulent and uncertain, but in these times where law and order is not really that solid in terms of property rights, I think it's interesting to look at the Dirty Man Safe. All the details are below in the description, and if you use the promo code MONACO10, you get 10% off. The other thing I wanted to talk about before we look into gold is that I went to my local coin shop. It's more of a coin and metal dealer, Peter Morris in Bromley, just outside London, South London. And he did have some gold, but I prefer getting gold from bullion dealers. They usually have more and they have a better deal. But he has loads of silver coins, not just bullion silver, but also numismatics. And I got a mix of both. I got quite a bit of US pre-1965 half dollars, quarters, and dimes. He was charging 8, 4, and 2 pounds for those. And I got also threepenny bits, which are 3 pence, UK 3 pence. They're the ones that were 50% silver that I got. I got a handful of them. He charged me 50 pence for them. I think it's good to have those. And then I bought a few things that were quite interesting. They were more numismatic, but to do with silver too. I got one of these sets from the US Mint from 1964. It's still sealed, as you can see, and it's in perfect condition. I mean, it's the same age as I am, and it looks a lot better than I do. It looks brand new. I look really old. It has the envelope that it came with, so I can put it back in there, which is really nice. It says Treasury Department, United States Mint, Philadelphia, PA, 19130. So there you go. And then Mr. Morris, Peter Morris, he let me have this. I think he was charging £5, but he said, "Oh, you can have it, Mario. I'll give it to you." And it's a Lincoln Kennedy penny. So I'll show it to you here. It's got they etched Kennedy's profile here, looking at Lincoln. And some of you might have heard of this. I had heard of this, but it's actually in the little card with all the coincidences. So let's go through the coincidences. And it says this uncirculated Lincoln head penny is stamped with a profile reproduction of John F. Kennedy looking at Lincoln. This unusual commemorative piece is truly a collector's item. So here are the astonishing coincidences. Lincoln was elected in 1860. Kennedy was elected in 1960. There are 7 letters in each name. Both presidents were slain on Friday. Both were slain in presence of their wives. Both were directly concerned with civil rights. Both presidents had legality of elections contested, so it's not just the 2020 election. Kennedy's secretary, Lincoln, warned him not to go to Dallas. Lincoln's secretary, Kennedy, warned him not to go to the theater. Both of their successors were named Johnson, Andrew Johnson and Lyndon Johnson. Each name contains 13 letters. Both served in the U.S. Senate. Both were Southern Democrats, the Johnsons, that is. Lyndon Johnson was born in 1908. Andrew Johnson was born in 1808. Booth and Oswald were both Southerners favoring unpopular ideas. Oswald shot Kennedy from a warehouse and hid in a theater. Yes, I know there are some that question whether it was really Oswald, but let's continue. Booth shot Lincoln in a theater and hid in a warehouse. Booth and Oswald were murdered before trial could be arranged. Lincoln and Kennedy were carried in death on the same caisson. Booth and Oswald were born 100 years apart. Lee Harvey Oswald, John Wilkes Booth. Each name has 15 letters, so there you go. Anyway, back to gold. And why do I think the West is doing gifting gold to the, especially the Chinese, Singapore, and according to the FT, and we're going to look at the article, gold buying is still at a record pace, despite the fact that last year it was even more. It was a record for many decades, probably since the Bretton Woods system was set up in the 1940s. So it's continuing this year. And the big wholesale buyers, central banks, monetary authorities, they get a very good price in the interbank foreign exchange market. They pay very little premium and they get the real thing. Of course, us mortals or retail people, we have to pay a lot of premium. We worry, of course, about whether gold is going to do well. Well, me personally, I don't. I know that the only way for fiat currencies to go is to zero, and the dollar is the top dog in terms of fiat currency. So it will have the same end as all fiat currencies. As Voltaire once said, paper money eventually goes to its intrinsic value of zero. So I'm not concerned, but the futures market that we kind of follow and sets the spot price, a lot of that is speculative. And an example was yesterday, gold traded up above 2,000 quite comfortably during the day, and all of a sudden it just turned around. Some think it's because the bullion banks want to make sure that that gold didn't close at a monthly all-time high above 2,000. It could be a lot of investors and people who are on the fence, sitting on the fence in terms of choosing to buy gold. They look at these prices. It's very important. Price a lot of times determines sentiment. And I think the Western central banks, they don't care about you and I. Gold is supposed to be something that they hold, not the plebs, and they want to make sure that the Eastern central banks or Asian central banks get their gold. Why would they want to do that? Well, because I think a lot of what's going on, the de-dollarization, BRICS, this is all orchestrated by the people at the top, not just in the BRICS countries, but also in the West. And I've spoken about this many times. I've done a few videos about the World Bank president, James Wolfensohn. He gave a speech back in, I think, 2010 or 11 to the Stanford Business School graduates. And he spelled it out there that the world had to rebalance. that when he was growing up in the 40s and 50s, I think the West, or 15% of the population, own 85% of the wealth, and that had to balance. So I think that is a goal of the powers that be. It's like wealth redistribution on a worldwide scale. And yes, it feels and it looks like China, Russian, and all the global South countries are trying to find an alternative to the dollar, and they are. And it looks like it's a conflict, but they have to make it look like that, in my opinion. So this is all part of this, and gold is the ultimate store of wealth. So I know many people question whether the United States Treasury still has 8,300 metric tons of gold, whether it's all in Fort Knox. And it could be, but a lot of it is encumbered. It's been leased out many times. And I think it's done to keep the price from rising too high. And I think it's a give and take, because we're seeing that government bond yields are rising very quickly. And a lot of the countries, BRICS countries, a lot of the global South countries have huge amount of treasury reserves. So they're saying, yeah, we want gold. Make sure that price doesn't go up too quickly, because we have to divest slowly from our treasuries into gold. So I think that's what's going on. So as I said, China leads record central bank gold buying in first 9 months of the year. So this is a story from the FT. Central banks in emerging markets look to reduce reliance on US dollar for reserves holdings. So that's continuing. As I said, last year was a record year for gold buying as well by central banks and monetary authorities. We were seeing as well the Singapore Monetary Authority. They've bought 77 tons this year so far, and their reserves are up 50%. And this is what Eric Jung, who I follow on Twitter, interesting Twitter guy. He's based out of Hong Kong. I assume he's Chinese. He says Singapore doesn't do anything for no good reason. Shanghai will be the international physical gold clearinghouse for East Asian and the global South. Singapore will be the international physical gold clearinghouse for Southeast Asia. So there you go. You just quickly go through this article here in the FT, some of the details of what's going on. So it says here, central banks have bought 800 tons in the first 9 months of the year, up 14% year on year, according to a report by the World Gold Council, an industry group. And some people argue that it's one of the reasons why gold has held up so well relative to real interest rates. It could be, but the other thing as well, I don't really think the real interest rates that were shown are a very true reflection of real interest rates, because they underestimate really the debasement of the currency or inflation. The article continues here. It says Poland bought 57 tons this year, Turkey 39 tons. And the People's Bank of China, they've been the biggest buyer this year. They've bought 181 tons this year, taking their gold holdings up to 4% of its reserves. Of course, there's a lot of speculation, and it's probably true that China has a lot more than just over 2,000 metric tons of official reserves. A lot of it is held by state-owned banks or state-owned entities, and some people argue that they could have even like 30,000. And that's not to say all the Chinese public. They've been encouraged by the Chinese authorities to buy gold. So yes, don't get caught in the fiat train. The fiat train is going this way, and it's going to go over a cliff. I don't know when, but it will. The gold train is going another way, and it's going to a very nice place, so to speak. It's not going to go over a cliff. You want to be on the fiat train. You don't want to be on the fiat train. You want to be on the gold train. That's my opinion. And the silver train as well will be following the gold train. And yeah, what about the paper gold and paper silver trains, i.e. the ETFs? I wouldn't trust them. And miners, well, miners is different. Miners are purely speculative, and you might want to do that as well. But you need to assess your own risk tolerance when it comes to that. So there you go. So let's quickly look at the markets this morning. It's 8:25 a.m. London time. Of course, we're only 4 hours ahead at the moment of the US. So I think that will change on Sunday. We've got spot gold, 1978. It's down about $6. Yes, it's disappointing. It's frustrating. But as I said, it gives us more and more time to keep getting out of Dodge, so to speak, or Fiat. Two car makers, actually, Fiat and Dodge. The high's been 86 and the low 1975. So we're near the lows. Silver, yeah, silver's continued to get hit. Didn't stop me from getting more yesterday. So we're at 22.56, is down 27 cents or 1.2%. High's been 22.88, the low 22.53. Dow futures is down 85 points, 1/4%. NASDAQ is down 1/4% as well, 40 points. S&P, same, down 10 points. To the currencies, sterling is unchanged, 121.50. The euro is down slightly at 105.60. The dollar is down 1/4% versus the yen at 151.27. The key level to watch there really is like 151.96 or 152. If the dollar breaks above that level, I'd expect the 10-year U.S. Treasury yield to test that 5% level. And again, we got the FOMC later on today, so that will be important to watch too. The dollar versus the yuan is unchanged at 733.77. The Aussie dollar is up slightly at 63.38. The dollar's up slightly versus the Canadian dollar at 138.83. And the Kiwi dollar is down 1/8% at 58.16. To the commodities, WTI crude is up 1/3, just above 81. Brent is up 0.5% at 85.36. Platinum is down $11 or just over 1% at 925. High-grade copper is down 1/4% at 366.40. So let's quickly check the 10-year U.S. 10-year yield. That's up 4 basis points. It's trading around 492. The 10-year JGB yield, that traded as high as 0.975 today. Right now we're around 0.95. Let's check the UK gilt market or government bond market. The 2-year yield is up 7 basis points at 485, and the 30 years at 509, up 11 basis points. So with that, I'm going to wish you all a very good day. Take care. Bye.